Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. I call to order the meeting of the Manassas Park Governing Body for Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. First, we have approval of the agenda. We have no closed session. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. We have a remembrance this evening. We have lost someone close to the Manassas Park family. Ms. Elizabeth Marty Powell passed away suddenly on October 5th. Her life was filled with the love of family, friends, God, and country. So please remember Ms. Powell's family in your thoughts and prayers. Please join us for a moment of silence, and Councilmember Amaya, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is anyone signed up to make public comment? Okay, thank you. The city would like to announce the winning homes for the 2023 Halloween House of Lights. The judge's favorite will be the guest of honor at the 2023 Trunk or Treat. And the winners are Joanne Stevens, 154 Cabell Drive, the judge's favorite, and guest of honor at Trunk or Treat. Ms. Marina Katovska, 8636 Swan Court, best yard. Marinka Gadzikowski, 127 Scott Drive, best haunted trail. Alicia Sowers, 128 Manassas Drive, best yard. Brenda Foster, 9244 Matthew Drive, best haunted trail. Veronica Payne, 110 Courtney Drive, best outside. Bianca Urbina, 9315 Paul Drive, best outside. Aaron Hummeldorf, 9318 Paul Drive, best yard. We want to say congratulations, and we thank everyone who was participating. And thanks to the Community Maintenance Working Group, and thank you to Councilmember Hampton for sending me the list so that I could read it. And thank you, Councilmember Amaya. Lots of work goes into these events, so thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, there is no public hearing. Oh, excuse me, is there anyone who is not signed up but who would still like to make public comment? Okay, seeing no one and hearing no one, we'll move on. No public hearing. We have a presentation, Manassas Park School System Strategic Plan Update. Welcome, Dr. Saunders.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm going to get some help from my city manager partner. Before I get going. Good news, I think you have a hard copy right in front of you. And so yeah, that's great. That's perfect. Perfect, yep. All right. Welcome. Thank you so much for allowing me here to be here this evening. It's an honor to share with you the Manassas Park Strategic Plan. This is our guiding document for the foreseeable future. You have hard copies in front of you, and this document comes to you after a year of collaboration, data collection, discussion, over 2,000 survey responses from community members, 15 hours of conversation, 24 planning sessions, and a great deal of work and thought and really concentration around what it is we are in Manassas Park. So tonight I'm here to kind of share a little bit about our vision, our mission, and our values. And as you look at this document, you have 2 copies in front of you, one in English and one in Spanish. And as you take some time to look at this and share this across the community, I would encourage you to look at the mission, the values, and the vision that we have set forth. It will be our guiding document. It's kind of what we're striving for as we work the next 5 years. You're going to see pillars in there. There are 3 key pillars that you will focus on, or that we will focus on over the next 5 years as well. What is happening at this point, this year, we are focused on putting together teams, strategic teams that will work on each of those pillars. Our executive directors at the school will be leading those teams and really creating key performance indicators and some very specific strategies that go with each of those pillars. We hope at this time next year we'll be able to present a community-facing, probably on the website, a metric that will allow us to see those strategies in action and how they are being measured over time, so that is very transparent. So as I close with you tonight, I would just say, as I did this work, what I realized is that our mission and our values and our vision are not very different than what I thought they were. What I've learned is that in Manassas Park, we've always been about engaging students in meaningful learning experiences. We've always been an innovative school community where we empower students to become lifelong learners. And our values, what's true in our heart, and what's true in every single day and all the work that we do, has always been to empower and excel, create and connect, and innovate and invest. You see, I really believe that we've been doing this, and that a strategic plan is not about changing and making everything very different. It's about enhancing what's already right. And so that's going to be our focus for the few years to come. And I don't think I could say it as well as our teachers, our community, and our students. So I hope I can share with you a video this evening and let you see that we are Manassas Park.
IT team can switch over to the video, please.
So I hope you can see what I get to see each and every day, which is an amazing set of staff members, community members, students. It's just a pleasure to be able to lead and work and really set this vision into action. So I look forward to partnering with you and with the community to continue to do this work. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. That was delightful. Are there any comments or questions from the governing body? Yes, sir.
Sure. Dr. Saunders, thank you. Thank you for this wonderful document. And I just want to say what an honor it was to be able to serve on the committee, on the Strategic Planning Committee. It was just very enlightening. I saw the hard work, commitment by our community and staff and our students. And I think this is a great document that will serve our community for a long time. I just want to thank you for your leadership in developing this strategic plan, and it was just a great process. And so thank you for that.
You are very welcome. It was a joy. I enjoyed the days and times and conversations that we had together.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, yes, ma'am.
Now, granted, I only went to kindergarten here, but it's amazing to see how much our school system has changed, especially now that we're getting close to 50 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a testament to your leadership and your predecessor's leadership. And I also had a flashback to algebra class at one point there. I still don't think I know how to solve that problem, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for everything you do and everything that everyone does, all the staff at the school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, there is no information section, so moving on to consent agenda. Consent agenda consists of approval of the minutes of September 19th and the corrected minutes of October 3rd, and the appointment of Joshua McNeal as Manassas Parks representative to the Northern Virginia Cigarette Tax Board, with city manager and the chief financial officer as alternates. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, there is no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. 9A is Motorola radio system upgrade. And welcome, Captain Loving.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. So I come before you today to ask for an increase to a capital funds project for 2024. It wasn't in the packet somewhere. I believe you guys have a copy of it. So in 2022, we were advised that in fiscal year 2024, we would need to upgrade our Motorola police radio systems. We share those systems with Manassas City. At that point in time, the estimated cost was $618,850.50. On October 2nd of this year, we received the bill from the services with Manassas City, and the cost had increased to $885,907. We are responsible for covering 23% of the cost, which makes our total share $157,758.61, which is $15,422.61 more than was originally budgeted for that. The Motorola systems obviously are a crucial part of our interface with the police departments, with other Northern Virginia agencies, and the fire department, and is needed to cover and provide the best community services to the citizens of Manassas Park. The police chief is requesting that the approved FY24 budget fund from the police department CIP be increased to $157,758.61 and utilized to pay the city's share portion.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
This is more directed to the city manager. Laszlo, where will we pull the $15,000 from?
It's likely going to come from fund balance. So far, our surplus from FY23 is looking incredibly strong, as is the schools who were here before. So it's not complete yet, the audit, but I'm very confident we're going to come back with a very strong surplus to present to you all and continue strengthening fund balance. This is a one-time payment, so this would that we just pull from that fund balance to cover this gap.
Thank you.
Follow up? Okay. Comments or questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, there are two motions, staff recommended motion. The first one is that the governing body approve and authorize the city manager to sign the necessary legal documents with Manassas City and Motorola Solutions for upgrades to the police department's Motorola radio system in FY '24 at a total cost not to exceed $157,758.61 as presented and subject to final city attorney review.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Second motion is that the governing body direct the city manager to increase the police radio system CIP line item by $15,422.61 in the FY '24 mid-year budget amendment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 9B, that would be state-approved budget pay raise for social services employees.
Great. Good evening, Mayor and members of the governing body. This is some good news. So when they came up with the interim budget, the state, remember, they didn't pass the full budget amendment for the biennium by June 30th. They had just a kind of temporary budget until they could come back and approve the full amendment, which they did last month. But back then in June, they approved only a 5% pay raise for social services, where before they were trying to do a 7%. That's what we originally budgeted, then we had to scale it back once we found out they were only funding 5%. But we ended up doing a 6% across the board for all employees, so DSS employees got the 6%. With this announcement now, the state is going to fund a full 7% pay raise from the July 1st time period for all of our social services employees. What that means tactically, like how this works from a financial standpoint, is they're agreeing to raise what's called the 855 account by around $7,500. That's the first line that Randy's team charges to for all administrative and overhead costs for reimbursement from the state. That gets reimbursed at 15 or 85% by the state. We cover 15%. We usually exhaust that fund by November, December. The much larger is 858, and that the city pays 60% of that one. So a little bit less of a match from the state in that one. So what's going to happen is, if you approve, we'll do a 1 percentage point raise, or a 1% raise across the board for DSS to get everyone up to a full 7% raise in FY24. That would become effective on November 19th, which is the start of the pay period that includes December 1st. So the cost of that through the remainder of the fiscal year, all else being equal, right, that we keep everyone that we have right now, right, is around $5,500. But again, they're putting $7,500 back in 855, so it's really offsetting. But you only get that $7,500 if you do the full 7% raise by December 1st. So tonight I'm asking for permission to execute an additional 1% across the board pay raise for the Department of Social Services, starting on November 19th, so that by December 1st the pay raise is in effect, and we can get the money, the funding from the state to cover the pay increase.
Comments or questions? Yes.
Thanks, Laszlo. This is exciting. I'm glad we're getting extra money for our DSS workers. They definitely deserve it and need it. But we're not making it retroactive. It's as of November, as opposed to going to July 1st. So did the state give us money, make it retroactive as of the 1st of July, or just
They
in
didn't.
November?
We can make it retroactive if we want. That would cost the city. The state is only reimbursing. What they're saying is by December 1st, you have to have this additional, what they say is 2% raise, right? Because they funded a 5%. We did a 6%, so
Right,
we
we
were
did
already
the
covering
6, yes.
1 percentage point above that. But you need to be at 7% by on December 1st to get it. So if you wanted, we could do retroactive, but we're not going to get the full money for that. If you're going to do retroactive, it would cost the city a little bit. It probably wouldn't be that much, though, to be honest with you, because you can see that the full $7,500 already offsets what the actual cost is going to be. So it's something I can bring back the numbers for you all if you want to see what that would look like for a retroactive raise.
Yeah, I'd like to see the 7% retroactive to
Okay.
July 1st, because I believe that's what the state gave us money for.
They didn't. They gave us money for December 1st
For
through.
December 1st.
Yeah. So
Okay.
technically, they give us money from December 1st through May 30th, because June 1st is the start of their fiscal year. Yeah.
Your view or your belief, we should start in November and not be retroactive?
No. I was just doing what the state law said, which
Yes.
was December 1st. I just did it starting on a pay period that's November 19th to make payroll's life easier, right? Instead of doing it in the middle of a pay period, just starting it in the pay period that includes December 1st. But I have no opposition if you guys want to do retroactive to those employees who were here on July 1st, get them to that 1% raise retroactive. I would have to crunch the numbers, though, to give you what the cost would be for the
But
city.
you think it will be minimum, a
I
small,
believe it would
small
be minimum,
amount?
yeah.
That's my position. Hopefully my colleagues on the dais will support that. If not, the November is fine, but I would hope we could go back to July
Okay.
when the fiscal year started.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. It would be nice to see the numbers first, if we could pass this tonight and then come back with the retroactive.
That works for me.
Would that work for you?
That works for me, yes.
Okay, super. Any other comments or questions?
I just have a question. I do support your suggestion. Wouldn't it just be like $2,000 or $2,000 or $3,000?
I think that's what the net cost would be for the city. Again, I'd have to go and look at the actual, if you want the exact numbers, I'd have to look at payroll, who's still here, right? As
Sure,
well, we
sure.
lost a lot of employees in that early part, so I want to get the exact numbers, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to be a lot. I think you're right with the
If it's that
2,000.
low, we don't really need to bring it back to us. You could just go ahead and,
You can give me that authority, that if it's no more than X amount of dollars, that I have the authority to execute it. Yeah.
I like Mr. Cabrera's thinking.
so, I mean, if
It
you're just
would-
talking
it
about
would give our city
3,000,
I
managers
think
that
it would be around
authority.
3,000. So if you want to say not to exceed $5,000, and if it's more than 5,000, I
Here,
come
here.
back with you.
Yeah.
Yes,
So it's like-
That
yes.
sounds good.
I agree with that.
We're not
sounds good.
talking per person, it's
Yeah.
like the total.
Yeah.
The total, correct, the net total, yeah.
It's-
I support that.
So what would become the effective date?
It would be July 1st,
July
Yeah.
1st. That changes the motion.
correct, yeah.
With a not to exceed of 5,000,
Mhm.
okay. And, are there any other comments or questions? Okay, and Dean, if I mess up the motion, please step in. Staff recommended motion is that the governing body authorize the city manager to provide a pay raise of 1% to the employees of the Social Services Department effective July 1st, 2023, not to exceed $5,000. Does that meet your
Oh.
specs, Dean?
I'm sorry, Jeanette, so it'd be, the $5,000 would be the net of the change, so
Okay, so,
the total would be, hold on,
10.5.
the total, so I would say a net cost of 5,000,
not to exceed
a net cost,
net
because
cost.
that's after state revenue,
Okay,
and that would cover it.
okay, so not to exceed a net cost of $5,000.
Yep.
Okay,
Second.
okay, all in
Moved.
favor?
Second.
Moved.
I thought we had a second.
No,
I'm
he said-
sorry.
There was
I'll
no
move,
hands
I'll
up
move it.
first.
Thank
Okay.
you. I'll move it.
Moved, and who second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Driveway discussion, part 3.
Yep.
And as a gentle reminder, city attorney needs clear and firm direction out of our discussions because of the potential code changes that can come about. So, Councilmember Hampton, do you want to kick us off on our?
Give us 1 second, please, hold on, we gotta fix this.
And this is basically your precursor for our next meeting.
Is the clicker, can you test the clicker?
Did I turn it off? Okay, like in a mouse, to the mirror, to the guy over there waving at me. All right. I don't know if I can do 2 things at one time. There we go. All right, so tonight, like I said, is just a precursor to our meeting on November 8th, just kind of, it's been a while, to refresh where we stood. We also have to I have a discussion on the next steps for Area 1, which was the changes to the parking of 2 commercial vehicles in homes that are certified to registered home-based businesses that have the occupancy permit to do that. All right. Oops. All right, so this is just a recap of our meeting, which was back in August. So what we decided on in August was that for parking area 1, our decision was to allow the driveway parking of a maximum of 2 commercial vehicles for permitted home-based businesses. So that would mirror our forthcoming commercial vehicle ordinance. So we asked the city manager to give us a projection of the increased numbers of vehicles parked in the city, driveways and street due to this change in the law. And I don't think he's had an opportunity yet to do that research.
So projection of increased number of vehicles parked on,
The street.
so why would there be an increase that, based off, the permitted home-based business? You see, I think they're parking it on the street right now, so I don't think there would be any change. So if you're saying from the home business permit right now, they're only allowed one, right, on their property. So if they have more than one, they're likely parking it on a public street right now. So when that gets prohibited, all they would do now is move it to their driveway.
I think that was my question. My thoughts were if the two business vehicles were on the driveway, if they had personal vehicles that they needed to park on the street. That was my question.
Yeah, they would have to park.
Does it make a significant difference?
No, so the only way it would make a difference is if that business had previously been parking their second commercial vehicle outside of the city, right? And now that they have permission for two, they now park it on their driveway. Then they would it would add a personal vehicle to the streets. But I don't think that's happening. To be honest with you, I think they're parking it on the street because it's not regulated on the street until we start this. So I don't think there is an impact by doing this.
It's just it's a wash.
It's
right?
just a
They're
wash,
taking their
yeah.
personal vehicles out of the driveway,
Mhm.
putting it on the street, and the commercial vehicles in
On the driveway. Yep.
Okay. All right, so with that being said, I'm gonna probably skip around a little bit. So we wanted to go ahead and match the permitted home-based businesses, the number of vehicles, to match our no commercial parking ordinance. So with that being said, Dean, what do you need from us to move forward?
Dean, we can't hear you.
So I probably speak for Dean. I think he needs probably a vote from you all to direct the city attorney to craft the ordinance.
I think in our earlier conversation, he needed consensus for a direction.
Sure.
He needed direction so
Yeah.
that he could come back with something
Yep.
for us to vote on. Is that correct, Dean?
It was working earlier.
It looks like he's talking, but we can't hear him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think when they played the YouTube
Let's
video,
go ahead and
must have-
see if we do have a consensus.
Okay,
and then-
well, we think we did last time.
We
but-
did,
Yeah,
we did.
but maybe we should do it again.
Absolutely. Okay, is there anyone who's opposed to this? Okay, I think everyone is in support of this. So Dean, you have your direction, that's what we wish to do. Maximum of 2 commercial vehicles for each permitted home-based business. Okay.
And I
yeah.
would imagine that we have to have this in effect before January 1, so that individuals that have a permitted home-based business are not, what's the word I'm looking for, penalized?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
It's very light. though.
Everybody, this is Dean. Can you hear me now?
You gotta get closer to your mic, Dean.
I'm about as close as I can get to the mic.
Okay.
Can you
we
speak
crank up
louder?
Can you hear me now?
Can we crank up the volume?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you,
What
Dean.
about now?
Yes.
That's better.
Oh, much better.
Okay, sorry about that. I've been talking to myself apparently. So yes, all I need is direction to prepare an ordinance. We're gonna have to have a public hearing before both the planning commission and the governing body. If we do that in November, we can have a vote by the governing body, by the second meeting in November if you want, or you could vote on the first meeting in December, but that would get it in effect before January 1st, which I believe is what Laura asked. Is that correct?
Yes.
Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on.
Okay. Well, Dean, there is a consensus to go forward with this.
Okay, and that's that's for the 2 vehicles for the home occupation, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, I will have that done.
Okay, thank you, Dean.
So it'll be going to vote no later than early December. Okay. Sorry, I'm making notes. All right, and then out of action, out of area 2, which was a possible changes to driveway size ordinance, we didn't really come to conclusion. We asked for some research
Yeah.
on how many houses have the 100-foot width yards.
Yeah, so when I scan through GIS, I would say it's no more than 5% of homes, so it's going to be probably less, no more than 400 of the total. We have roughly close to 4,000 total residential units, so it's going to be no more than 400 units who have this. It's probably less than that.
Okay.
The measurement of 27 feet was floated, and I sort of like that idea. Daryl, I think that was your idea, right?
That's correct.
27 feet?
27. That was a
Okay.
compromise.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, yes, that's what we had discussed, 27
Yes,
feet.
yes, okay.
Okay.
Any other suggestions or?
No, I think we had gone back and forth about the permeable, but I think
Too expensive.
right.
Yeah,
So we felt it was just too
expensive and
Right,
the
it's
upkeep and maintenance.
too much of a burden.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think the consensus was not to follow through on it.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And I think that if you look through the background slides, I kind of marked through the ones that we didn't approve. The other action item that we had out of it was for the city manager. We gave you a lot of action items. To investigate the impact of expanded driveway size on the driveway aprons, and that probably needs, I don't know if you have that.
Well,
available.
yeah, to get the exact, I'm almost certain it's 20 feet, but the driveway aprons are not determined by driveway size, they're determined by VDOT standards that we follow in the city, and that's about 20 feet for the apron. So you can go in and have a wider driveway, it's just the apron is regulated by VDOT. Well, not regulated by, but we choose to follow kind of the standard VDOT apron requirements that they have. So that's not impacted by driveway size.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then we wanted to review the Bob persona. But when I looked at it, it seems like we were kind of filled out the Bob persona, but let's take a quick look at it. So it's on page 20, I gotta put my glasses on, 26 of 47, it's the one that's in blue at the very bottom. And based on my notes, it said that Bob was a single-family homeowner with a driveway that a previous owner poured, but there was a change in the ordinance, and the driveway no longer complied with the ordinance. And Bob wanted to keep as is. The pain points we identified were costs, fees, fines, demolition, emotional impact, and home value impact. We didn't make any other decision beyond that. Did we want to add anything else to the Bob persona? Okay, so Bob persona is good as is? Okay. All right. I'm making a note. And then the last one was the backyard parking. We asked them to provide research findings on other jurisdictions' backyard parking ordinances and practices.
Yeah, so not a lot of jurisdictions prohibit it. So Winchester was one that I found that did prohibit parking in the backyard. Some other ones regulate total. So between front and backyard, you're only allowed to have like a total of 20% of your total area of front and backyard paved. So it could be, all of it in the front or all of it in the back, however it is. But they just regulate. That was Williamsburg, which was that example. But we couldn't find examples of straight up prohibitions of parking in backyards. Just Winchester was the one. And then everyone else is more like us, where they say if you're parking in your backyard, it has to be on a paved surface. That's the only regulation.
Okay, but we don't limit the size of the, okay.
We don't, yeah.
All right. So with that, that's pretty much all we needed to recap for tonight. Just be prepared for the November 8th meeting, where we are going to we don't need to worry about area 1 because Dean's gonna take care of that. But we're gonna talk about area 2, which is the possible changes to the driveway size ordinance. And once again, kind of refresh yourself, please, on the personas. And then also have a discussion on backyard parking. My thought is some of these things, we probably need to make a decision sooner rather than later in case there's an impact in the fiscal 25 budget.
Okay,
Sounds good?
sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
And Dean says that he will prepare, I will prepare the ordinance. Thank you, Dean. Okay.
I said that when you guys weren't able to hear me, but I just want one clarification. The 27 feet, the ordinance, you also want an ordinance for that, and that's if the width of the front yard is greater than 100 feet, they can have a driveway width of up to 27 feet. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know that we've
Did you want me to-
achieved a consensus on that.
No, we haven't.
Oh, okay.
We haven't come to consensus. It was just something we were
Okay,
exploring
so
at
the-
this point.
Yeah. So we're
So there's
not,
only one ordinance then, it's just for the home occupations. Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dean.
Laszlo, do you want the,
Oh, the clicker back, sure.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, that concludes our discussion, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, moving on to number 10, public comment time. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment? Yes, sir, please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your remarks to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the governing body. Just wanted to share, I was in this room over the weekend for a local author presentation, and he brought in some therapy dogs, and the room that we are all in now was absolutely covered in dog fur. So whoever cleaned it did a good job. I'm glad nobody here is allergic to dogs. It was really a nice presentation if anybody has an opportunity to attend that in the future. That aside, and my own case aside, I'd just like to add on the topic of driveways, something that I don't really think has been addressed. And I know we know that a lot of the people are, that we're referring to specifically are contractors. And several of our neighbors are contractors. We've seen pretty much everything there is to see with contractor vehicles. One thing we don't really feel that has been mentioned is that how these vehicles can be targeted by criminals. Our neighbor across the street from us has a contractor van that he parked in the street. It's been broken into 5 times in the 3 years that we've lived there. We've had police at our door asking us to review our security cameras for the footage. So he finally moved that van off the street and into a driveway next to the house. To my knowledge, it hasn't been broken into since. So it just seems that, with all these issues that keep coming up, the clogged streets, the no parking for residents and guests, the vehicles being broken into, the emergency vehicles not being able to get by, that the simplest thing the city should be working towards is finding a solution for more off-street parking. Just get these vehicles off the street. It would be safer for the owners, clean up the streets, and it would probably increase the property values as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to make public comment?
Just really quick,
Yes, ma'am.
regarding the Halloween Houses of Lights, the folks will actually start, the information will go out here later this week, but residents can start touring the homes this weekend. We also like to thank the young men and women of the Scouts and the Cubs who actually did the judging this weekend. And they seem to have a very good time. And I'm sure you were there with your little guys
They loved it. They were very scared, especially on Cabell.
on that 157.
My youngest had nightmares, in a good way.
So folks, please go out and see it.
Okay. Anyone else want to make public comment? Seeing no one and hearing no one? I'm sorry. go
I'll
ahead.
make one other announcement, and next Saturday, the 28th, is Trunk or Treat at the Community Center from 2 to 5. It's just a widely exciting and well-attended event. So bring your candy and be ready to give it to the
A lot of candy.
A lot of candy, that's
Yeah.
right. A
Was it
lot
last
of
year?
candy.
Last year, we had, more than 1,000 pieces of candy?
Yes, close to 2,000 people came through, so.
Wow. That's in 2 Saturdays. Actually, next Saturday is the Halloween.
It's the 28th.
It's a week from this
So
Saturday.
this Saturday is the 21st, which is the Halloween event here at City Hall.
That's right. So both of those events will be a lot of fun.
Okay. And moving on now to city manager's report.
Okay, so tonight, Randy will be presenting on the FY23 annual report for social services. The only thing I had to announce was that, if you haven't noticed, we've unbagged the no commercial vehicle parking signs. We're not enforcing right now. We're just unbagging it again so everyone can see, because I really don't want to hear from people when we start enforcing that we didn't give people a heads up. So in January is when we'll start giving warnings, right? So those will be door hangers from code enforcement on the 2-vehicle violation on driveways and warning tickets from PD. February, we then issue tickets, PD does, for commercial vehicles on streets, and code enforcement will then issue notice of violations for those cars that have not been in compliance in February. And then March is the full enforcement, where cars that were ticketed in February will now be towed that are on the street from PD, and then will be taken to court by code enforcement as, you know, the courts allow. We usually don't provide more than 5 cases per month, because the judges don't want to hear more than that. So we'll kind of slowly get after it when it comes to that. But that's kind of the enforcement cycle. So when February comes along and people get tickets, we've given everyone plenty of heads up. You know, these signs are up now. They're everywhere. People should see them. So it should be no surprise when we start enforcing in January.
Could you state the fine, the amount of the fine?
The parking tickets are generally $40. $40.
Thank you.
Yeah, the towing is going to be a lot more if you got to get your car out.
And we've got some town halls coming up, correct?
Yeah, we do have the town halls starting. Give me 1 second here.
Starting Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, when was that? Thursday the 9th is the first one, and then we have Sunday the 12th, I want to say, and then the 13th. That's it, right? Yeah, there are 2 on the 12th. Oh, 2 on the 12th. Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. One at 11 at the community center, and then one at 3 also at the community center. One, I think the earlier one is in Spanish, and then the 3 o'clock one is in English.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Randy.
Hold on 1 second. Can we get the slides up, please?
Is your mic on?
There we go.
How's that?
Perfect.
Good evening.
Yeah.
How is everyone? I'm not sure why I straggled so long with my fiscal year 23 end of year report, but usually I'm around Kelvin, so this has been fantastic evening tonight. Let's see here. I gotcha, it's back here, but not over there, that's fine, okay. So if you recall, you approved an additional customer service representative for our department effective July 1st. So this is the updated org chart to include our department organization as of today. 21 full-time employees, 2 part-time, and typically 2 George Mason interns. Looking at the end of fiscal year 23, we have about a 22.73% year-end turnover. When I come back to do the next presentation, I'll be able to fill you in on the turnover that our agency has experienced. We're quite short-staffed right now. We have hired some additional staff, but they're brand new. So in the services department, it takes a good 3 to 4 months of intensive training. So I'm actually out in the field doing work right now, which is pretty exciting. I feel like it's fueled my, love for the job and the work itself. So, but year end, not much turnover. Looking at the numbers here in our admin, why we needed that customer service representative so badly shows you our 30% increase between fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23. If you notice, our lobby visits have increased, but our call volume has stayed about the same. So our agency is very busy in the front line with the customer service. And I think the chart here reflects that and the need for keeping that position staffed and continuing the ability to provide great customer service to our residents. Benefits numbers here, you can see again, we've had an increase of about 13% for our ongoing SNAP cases between the 2 fiscal years, and a 11% increase in our total Medicaid. So we are continuing to grow as a city, which is a reflection in our numbers here in our department. And services, the number of intakes increased 93%, and we double checked to make sure that we had the numbers correct before we reported on that. You know, schools returned, you know, people went back out into the community, so I think there was a lot more reporting from community partners, schools, doctors' offices. I think that we've seen an increase in the services that are needed in our community, which results in people contacting our agency and making reports. We've also seen a really large spike in our child care program. Right now, we actually have our part-time HSA carrying a full caseload because she's about the only one left in our department that can process child care applications. The pandemic brought a lot of additional funding for child care services. At one point, we had no waiting list. Right now, we have about 60 active cases that we're working. And then guardianships are up as well. And our year-end CSA foster care numbers, these are always important. You can see the year-end, we closed out with 15 foster children, but throughout the year, we've averaged as high as 23. Again, that number, I think, will always stay that high. I don't think we'll ever go back to 4 or 5 kiddos that we averaged, 10 plus years ago. Hopefully we're going to have some of these kiddos that are in foster care right now adopted. We have quite a few families who have been fostering for the last couple of years that are interested in taking that next step, which is really great. Let's see here. Any questions on this slide? I know it can be a little confusing. Questions? No? Okay. And just some year-end highlights. As Council Member Moore mentioned, Trunk or Treat is always a really fun activity for DSS to participate in. And this last year, being post-COVID, we invited the Montessori school. It's not called that anymore. I think it's called Dreamers, the daycare center located below us, to come up, and we decorated our hallways, and the kiddos came costumed up and went through our hallways. And we also had the kiddos from the community center come on over. And last year it was a school holiday, so they had quite a few kids, so that was very exciting to do that. We participated in another successful turkey giveaway. We participated in National Adoption Day. We had a feature on Panorama on the services that are provided in our department. We supported our foster families and kiddos during the holidays by providing gifts, not only to the foster child themselves, but the entire family. Our staff finished MANT training, which is safety training, not only what to look for, but how to react in those situations and different handholds and whatnot. The end of the pandemic took place, so in April we started processing renewals again. That's also why we've seen a big upkick in our lobby volume, is people coming in, asking questions, turning in paperwork that for the last few years hadn't been required. This photo that I have here is one of our foster kiddos. She is 17 years old, and she was nominated by one of our staff members for Beat the Odds Award and won it. So that is through the Bar Association, and she gave up and gave a speech about just her life and what she's gone through and how she's turned things around. And I actually just saw her 2 days ago, and she's doing fantastic, and she's actually one of the kiddos that the family is interested in adopting her. So it's really great when we get to be a part of those positive experiences. It's really great. Let's see here. And then our additional full-time customer service position that became effective July 1. Again, thank you very much. It has really made an impact in the department. Let's see here. Concerns. I've already mentioned that our increase in our foster care and our adoption, I believe, is always going to be the norm now. When we have increase in our CPS intakes, that's going to equate to our foster care and our adoption cases, which is an increased workload across the entire department. With that program area, we have admin staff that are helping pay the bills, so to speak, but also on the benefits side, there's a worker assigned to their Medicaid and their 4E eligibility. So it really does take our entire department to assist the foster care kiddos. As I mentioned, we've had some turnover. I believe our vacancies staying unfilled was a result of lack of qualified applicants. Social services across the state, many other positions in this type of field as well are taking an impact of high turnover and unqualified applicants. So we've gone through a lot of interviews, and as I mentioned, we have hired a few new folks, but finding someone right now that is trained in social services, especially local government, is very difficult. People are burnt out.
So it's not just Manassas Park?
No, it's not. Yeah. Yep. Fairfax County right now is our nemesis. It used to be Prince William County, but we've actually had, I believe it's 3 of our staff head over to Fairfax, and we actually interviewed and offered a position to a young lady who decided to withdraw and take a position with Fairfax County too. So they have the higher pay, they're doing hiring bonuses and stipends, and you're well aware that our workers wear many hats. Fairfax is generalized, so you'll just have a set amount of cases in a set amount of program areas. We're a little nervous that the state is expecting all overdue Medicaid renewals to be completed by May of next year. If you recall, they have been providing overtime for benefits staff as well as administrative staff to assist with the overdue Medicaids. On average, we're completing about 60 of them per month on average, so I'm really proud that my staff are taking advantage of that extra time to try to help get our residents' Medicaids renewals completed and processed. I don't know if when we get closer to that date, if they'll make any changes or exceptions or continue to provide the no local match overtime funding for staff to work on that. So time will tell. And then lastly, my concern is always my part-time HSAs needing to be full-time. As I mentioned, our services HSA is helping out tremendously right now by carrying a caseload. It's not something that an HSA typically does, but we'll always have a need to turn those positions from the part-time to the full-time. They're just crucial to the agency and the units. And that's it.
Oh, thank you, Randy.
Mhm.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Is there a coordination with your gift giving, and your holiday gift giving, and the holiday gift giving from the community center with Santa's Sleigh? Is there coordination so that different families are chosen?
Yes,
There
yeah.
is, okay,
They
thank you.
usually reach out to us, and we keep an ongoing list to ensure that families that were served previous years are not served.
Okay.
consecutively in a row. We actually keep a master list for a variety of programs to make sure that we're assisting as many residents as possible. And we reach out and coordinate with the schools, with Untrimetry, to hopefully, spread the gift giving. And sometimes even PD, they'll have gifts delivered and bring over the extras. So a lot of times we'll have things stashed for the next year, or we'll have those families that, reach out last minute, upset that they have nothing, and we luck out and we have that little stash and we do what we can. So,
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions?
Just a quick question for you.
Sure.
Those who are, that you're dealing with Medicaid who aren't being renewed, are you recommending to go to healthcare.gov?
Yes. We also recommend that they appeal sometimes, just to make sure that if their eligibility was canceled, that it's legitimately canceled. Yeah.
Okay, and your staff has done a great job, so let them know. Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
everything they do.
Appreciate it.
Follow-up? Do you have a follow-up?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Thanks, Randy, for the wonderful presentation. And it's just, it saddens me to see that you've had a lot of turnover of senior staff, but it's good to hear that we have new people on board and being trained and all that kind of good stuff with zeal. I guess my question is more to the city manager, that your need for a part-time position to be converted to a full-time. I was wondering if we could refer that to the mid-year budget process? If you could give us a number of what that delta is and consider it. Like tonight, we gave $15,000 for radios. Maybe there's some extra money that we could spend to make that a full-time position. So I'd like to refer
Agree.
that to the midterm
Budget amendment,
process.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That would be a big help.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Randy. Thank you. City manager, do you have anything else for us?
No, that's it.
Okay. We have
Oh, actually,
our-
just a reminder for the turkey drive right now. So we are taking donations at City Hall here and at the rec center as well for that. And then we're signing up families who are in need of assistance. And thank you again, Councilmember Amaya and Moore, for taking the lead on that effort.
Thank you, thank you. Anything else for the good of the city? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
We didn't beat our record.